Welcome to Black Youth Matter Peel.
Hello, welcome. I'm so excited you have chosen to tune in today. Well, my name is Dagma Koyi, and I'm the founder and executive director of Restoration and Empowerment for Social Transition Center, also known as the REST Center. You could find us on www.restcenters.org for more information. So today, this is the first time of us airing our Black Youth Matter Peel show. And I'm so excited. This presents us with an opportunity to have youth provide a show for youth by youth. And we get an opportunity to also speak to different experts on various topics and issues as it relates to youth. Now, without further ado, let's do this. BYM Peel. I'm so excited to introduce you to this awesome young ladies that will be joining and hosting the show today. With me is Gabriella and Elizabeth. Ladies, thank you so much for agreeing to host the show today.
Thank you so much, Dagmar, for giving us the opportunity to even be represented in such a space.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, and I hope to help bring awareness to different issues regarding Black youth.
Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that Black youth life matter. And when we say Black youth life matter, it means that your voices matter. And I know that you will do a great job with representing our youth today.
This show is for Black youth across Canada, but hosted by Black youth in the Peel region.
Every week, we'll be discussing issues that we face in the Peel region's Black youth, but and all over Canada. Today's topic will be on mental health. To start off, Elizabeth, what do you think is the biggest issue today, especially with Black youth and mental health?
Well, I believe for youth and mental health, the biggest issue is definitely having resources that are specifically catered towards Black youth. So, in terms of mental health resources, I think Black youth have a different experience when it comes to, just a different experience in the world. And I think that we need to have mental health resources specifically catered towards them for that reason. What about you, Gabrielle? What are your experiences?
I believe the biggest issue for Black youth and mental health is acknowledgement and treatment. So many of us have been told that we need to be strong, we need to rise above our issue, so we hardly acknowledge that there is an issue in the first place. Black youth is also one of the least to even seek treatment, even if we do acknowledge that there is a problem. I know for certain that mostly every Black person have went through and heard the line, I went through this and I was fine. Why are you complaining about something that I went through and so small? When I've handed you everything, right? There's so much that so much of us have already heard this line. There's also so much support out there, but we're hardly calling or acknowledging those help. For instance, there's the Rest Center's Black Youth Support Line, but we hardly seize this opportunity because of the stigma behind using or going for treatment. We would also like to hear from you what you think is the biggest issue for Black youth and mental health by going onto our Facebook and our Instagram at BYM Peel.
So let's get a perspective from a person we all know. His name is Farley Flex, and he is the co-founder of the Urban Res Solutions and their recent campaign, Say It Loud Canada. We will take a break and then speak with him about Say It Loud Canada.
Do you want to know how to have money at the end of the month? Well, come to the Rest Center's Financial Wellbeing for Black Youth online workshop series. Financial Wellbeing offers a high-level view of banking in Canada with an emphasis on pillars of banking, including budgeting, saving, borrowing, investing, and protecting yourself. Call the number today to register, 905-863-1118.
Say It Loud promotes Black pride and positive culture identity through STEM, entrepreneurship, social innovation, literary culinary, visual performance, and fashion art. The initiative showcases Black youth who are artists, founders, and trailblazers, challenges anti-Black stereotypes, and subsequently leaves positive impact on all communities across Canada.
So Farley Flex is a media consultant. He's also a music promoter, an artist manager, and a motivational speaker. He is best known for being a judge on the reality television series Canadian Idol. And Gabrielle, do you like to sing?
No, but I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation.
You don't
Hello,
like to
welcome
sing?
to the show. No,
All right.
unfortunately.
All right, Farley. So tell us more about your work helping youth with mental health.
Well, so what we do at Urban Res Solutions, which is the company that's associated with the community development work that I do, some of the other things you mentioned are done through another company I have called Plasma Management and Productions Inc., which is the media consultation and all the entertainment and some sports related business. In terms of the work we do with mental health, we look at it not from a clinical perspective, but largely from a social perspective, especially as it relates to things like the social determinants of health, some of which, as you know, are the sense of belonging, the neighborhood or environment you brought up in, the family infrastructure that, the home you live in, the access to health care and to recreation and activities in your communities. All those things, when they are absent or difficult to access, have an impact on your mental wellness, right? Which is the term you'll hear me use more so than mental health per se. And mental wellness is what allows us as human beings to find that place of joy, things like hope and expectation and ambition and idea building and visioning and so forth. So when we take those things, or when they are reduced in terms of access to youth, things start to become concerning. And when we look at the Black population that we're all part of, we tend to, along with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters, we tend to have the lowest access or the most limited access to the things that allow us to be mentally well and healthy in terms of our outlook on the world, and as also in how the world sees us.
Sure.
Yes, I totally agree. Can I also ask, can you tell us more about Say It Loud?
Absolutely. So Say It Loud is a national initiative. We were funded by the Department of Heritage to promote Black pride and positive cultural identity. Those of you who are less tenured than myself may not know the song Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown. So we took the first phrase out of that and branded it as the initiative. And the whole idea is to identify youth who are showing a really excellent transition from the resilience to brilliance. And that's the important thing. We've shown our resilience over the last 450 years with respect to how we survived the atrocities of slavery and the egregious acts that were placed upon us. And we're still here, we're still thriving. But what we have to do is create our own opportunities. And the idea here is to celebrate young people who are showing that they've transitioned from just focusing on resilience and now demonstrating brilliance in technology, entrepreneurship, social innovation, literary, culinary, visual, fashion, and performance arts. And it's not a competition, it's an opportunity to celebrate the loudest and proudest initiatives that promote Black pride and positive cultural identity.
Yeah, for sure. And I think having a positive cultural identity is really important because, it gives you that appreciation for where you came from, and also to kind of enhance your self-confidence, cultivate your self concept, and it's really important. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I just wanted to add, just based on the timeline of the initiative, COVID obviously attempted to disrupt us. What we did was we pivoted and we created initiatives that could still happen virtually. The culmination of the entire initiative is called the Say It Loud National Black Youth Summit. That's going to take place in February on the 20th and 21st of 2021. Yeah, we did that intentionally. And so the deadline for submissions, and it's important for the young people to recognize that submissions range from anything from just a to a completed project, as long as it promotes Black pride and positive cultural identity or has an application that will do that. So anything from, we're not known as a community for representing in the STEM areas. So if you are fully representing ideas and concepts in the STEM area, then you're actually promoting Black pride and positive cultural identity, especially the positive cultural identity, because one of the goals, as you mentioned, is to debunk the negative stereotypes of entertainment, sports, and crime being the only proclivities that Black people are associated with. And more specifically, if we look at hip hop, basketball, and gun and gang relations and so forth, their involvement. These are the stereotypes we have to debunk. Those things do not, by any stretch of the imagination, define who we are as a people. Right, we're the greatest contributors to all that happens on this planet. For the young people, Google, for instance, the algorithms that Google is based on come from something called the fractals at the heart of Africa, which is the way societal structures pre-colonization were formed, and all those things have been taken and repurposed by other cultures to literally make billions of dollars and obviously get large global prominence for that. But we know the origins of these types of technology, chemistry, which is named after the Kemi tribe in Africa, etc. We need to recognize these things and make sure that our history, especially Black history, does not start with slavery. Because that's how it starts off negatively when you start with slavery. But we preceded that. People like Imhotep, who designed the first pyramid, who created the Hippocratic Oath that doctors live by today. You know, all these things were stemmed from our ancestors, you know. And it's not just about kings and queens. It's about innovations, technologists, architects, you know, and people who created forms of language and so on and so forth. So we have lots to celebrate. And those things, when a child knows these things are part of who they are, it wards off the impacts of any form of mental unwellness that is formed by lack of sense of belonging, lack of cultural identity. We have to know who we are to be who we want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of cultural identity, a more personal question I wanted to ask was, what does cultural identity mean to you, and how did it affect you growing up?
Well, cultural identity for me was formed by my parenting. My mother is a very knowledgeable person and always shared with us, you know, even very acute things from our Trinidadian heritage. You know, back then, the embracing of our African heritage wasn't as prominent as it is now. But my sister, who was just 2 years my elder, she embraced her Afrocentricity quite early in her life, and that opened up my sensibility to it. And then when I did the work I've done as a UNICEF ambassador, as someone in the entertainment industry that's allowed to travel, it really crystallized the influence of our people. When I went to Africa 4 or 5 times now, I was able to, and I'll tell anyone on this who's viewing this, when your feet as a Black person touches the ground on the soil of Africa, if you're from anywhere outside of Africa, in the African diaspora, the Caribbean, the US, Canada, you name it, England, there's nothing like it. You will feel like it's the first time you've ever walked on the ground, literally, right? And it's an incredible experience. So cultural identity means to me all of the representations that we continue to cultivate, that we've contributed to all other cultures, like rock and roll music. Most kids don't associate rock and roll music with Black people. We created rock and roll music, not just hip hop, R&B, reggae, soca, Afrobeat. We created rock and roll music. So all the Elvises and those folks, they were derived from us. Right, they spawned from what we contributed. When you look at the influence we have on design of automobiles, we're not unfortunately doing the designing, but we're influencing the design and the aftermarket cool factor. Like, we represent cool factor in an economic way, not just in a social way. So all of these things are things that we can lean on and have our young people lean on and say, I want to be part of that. I am part of that. It's who my ancestors have, what my ancestors have contributed to. So I want to take ownership and get involved and participate. And that's why we're asking young people to subscribe to Say It Loud, go to the website, which is sayitloudcanada.com, and submit your ideas. And hit us up on IG, we're Say It Loud Canada, on Instagram, etc. So yeah, lots to be part of so that you can build who you are and fulfill your potential.
So talking about cultural identity, do you think cultural identity affects what we think about mental health?
Absolutely, because if we from a cultural identity, or the void or the absence of cultural identity, it basically means you're empty on the inside. Right. And when you're empty on the inside, you tend to use phrases like, I don't know, I don't care, those kind of things. And when you don't know and you don't care, other people start to decide your life for you. And that starts from, daycare to early elementary, junior kindergarten, et cetera, where many Black youth in classrooms do not feel like they belong. And the style of education that's imparted on our children doesn't have any Afrocentricity attached to it. So you're growing up in this shell, right? And all people see is the external part of you. And the more they see the external and judge you on that, is the less gratification you're going to feel as a human being. So the attachment between cultural identity and mental health, especially in an environment where people are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade and the intergenerational trauma that has yet to be healed, right? We haven't healed from slavery yet, but we have to understand it, right? And move beyond it once that understanding is fully in our souls. Like when a young Black men are in circumstances where they're hurting each other, shooting each other, whatever it may be, they're void of their identity and the pride that they're supposed to have, not in just in themselves, but in their brother that they see walking down the sidewalk, right? We have to find the pride that should exist within us based on the things I mentioned before.
Yeah, a lot of points made for sure. Well, thank you so much, Farley, for being on the show. And how can youth access Say It Loud?
Okay, so once again, sayitloudcanada.com is where you need to go. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, hit us up on IG, because I know that's where a lot of the young people live. We try to communicate with young people the way they communicate with each other. So you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, you name it. And yeah, it's exciting. And the other thing is there are job opportunities as well that young people should know. We're looking for young people to be social media ambassadors, to do IG takeovers, to do virtual street team work during COVID, of course, all those sorts of things. And if you have any talents or interest in getting involved, please hit us up. And we're here to support. There's a website. Once we get through the process, which culminates in February, there are supports for business plan writing, grant writing, public speaking training, image consultation. We have a mental wellness app actually called Get Ahead that'll be available for anonymous communication between someone who's in need of support and clinicians who are qualified to address that support that's needed. So all these sort of holistic, all-encompassing things are there to close the gap between the transatlantic slave trade, institutionalized, systemic, and anti-Black racism have caused.
It's definitely a worthy cause, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sometimes it's a different perspective. It's always like what we need to be informed. I do like your perspective is definitely something like a lot of youth and a lot of Black youth need on mental, like you said, not mental health, but mental wellness. Because I feel like a lot of us don't understand the whole aspect of mental wellness and understanding that there is help for mental wellness, and there is like groups that we could go to and support line and places where we could access this mental health. Mental wellness and things that could help us, right?
Absolutely. So, I encourage people to research the social determinants of health, research your human rights, know as much as you can about the environment that you live in, and then you can at least be informed and take advantage of things with some level of understanding of what you're undergoing.
Oh, ladies, what an awesome interview. Well done. I know for you, this was the very first time you did an interview, but I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. So tell me, what did you think about the whole experience of interviewing Farley, Gabriella, and Elizabeth?
For me, I think the main thing I took out of this is his perspective on, instead of using mental health, we use mental wellness. Because even though there's like people that are going through depression and anxiety, we also have to think about our own mental wellness. So a simple thing as having like a good day, that could be a simple thing that we could think about. So I really liked his perspective on mental wellness instead of mental health.
I think for me, what really resonated was when he spoke about cultural identity. I think him bringing up the topics of certain genres of music that came from Black people, or just aspects of civilization and such. I think that definitely are things that will help instill pride into Black youth, and is definitely necessary, even from my own research on previously back in high school when I was part of the Black Student Association, and further on, I definitely when I did read upon those type of things, it really helped me become a lot more prideful in where I came from, and know that, you know, my ancestors were powerful beings, and that I should never look down upon my Blackness at all. So, and I think that definitely intertwines with my mental health, because once that kind of was instilled in me, it really kind of, when there were things from the external, like the media and such, it was essentially warded off, because I knew in myself that, like, I'm descendant from, like, really great, you know, ancestors, and I shouldn't feel ashamed for where I came from. So yeah,
I completely agree with you, Elizabeth, because sometimes, like, we're taught so much to, like, not like our skin color or not like where we come from. But I do say, like, that's something we need to celebrate. Like, we need to celebrate who we are.
for sure, for sure.
Absolutely. So it was indeed very empowering and inspiring. And I think we need to have more talk about Black cultural identity, and even showcasing some of those, you know, ancestors who demonstrated great resilience. And we have a history of them, right? And there is so much to learn. And you're right, Rebecca, it helps to instill pride in you as an individual. So we need to have more of those conversations. We need to take those conversations right before our young people, so that they too can feel inspired and empowered. So this was an awesome show today, ladies. Thank you so much. And what would you say in closing to a young person that is listening and somebody who's never heard about Rest Center before? What would you say?
No, I would say that the first step to get in support is to call. So I would recommend calling, because there's always people there to help you. So I know sometimes it's hard for us to call because we're so good and I'm fine. I don't think it's such a big problem, but it's a simple call. It could be a simple call that could, like, help you where you need help. So I would definitely recommend calling.
In terms of myself, like, I've definitely struggled with mental health problems, and I think the biggest step, as she said, was just taking that first step and that first action to seek the resources that I need, seek the help I need. And the Black Youth Support Line is a great resource for that. It definitely could help really mitigate the problems that you're having. And, you know, I'm here to inspire other Black youth to help themselves, essentially.
So you've heard it out of the mouth of youth themselves. We are here to support you. And that number is 905-863-1118. Call that number if you want to talk, if you want somebody to speak to, if you're going for an issue and you want a culturally safe space that to speak with somebody that you could trust. You could call us. We are here to support you.
Our Black Youth Support Line is now open to take calls at 905-863-1118.
You must be 13 to 24 years old and live in Peel region. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yeah, and I definitely thought at first that it was the lack of resources that was causing a lot of these problems within Black youth. And I think now I'm gearing towards more of it's in us to take action for ourselves, to seek the support we need. And that's why we've set up things such as the Black Youth Support Line. So yeah, until next time.
I totally agree with Elizabeth. Sometimes we just need to, like, make that simple call. Yeah. I know myself, sometimes it's hard to make that call, but you could just pick up the phone and call the hotline. There's always someone there to help you. But for now, keep safe, social distance, and wear a mask. Well, that's it for our show. This week we'll be discussing how homelessness affects Black youth, and that's all in acknowledgement to Homelessness Awareness Week. If you have any topics that you want us to speak about, let us know on @BYM Peel on our IG and our Facebook.